What's up everybody, welcome back to a brand new video on Lexalexus. Today we've got the championship review for match day 31. Normal proceedings, 12 games that I'm going to be covering. It was quite a mad weekend to actually break down all 12 games. We've also got 12 games to predict because we've got midweek games. They're finally back, so we've got a lot to cover today. Now, in terms of the prediction league, I've not updated them yet, but they will be updated as soon as possible. So make sure you keep your notifications switched on to make sure you don't miss a single community post, because that is when I'll likely post the latest standings. So to make sure you don't miss any of my posts, please hit that subscribe button. It really does help the growth of this channel when you do that. Please also smash the like button as well. It'll be amazing to get a little bit more traction in this video compared to my vlog. It clearly didn't really set the world alight, which is kind of what I was expecting, sadly. But these series kind of does well, not as well as my predictions, but it does all right. So as always guys, make sure you show your full support because it really does help, and all your comments really do mean a lot to me, every single one. But without any further ado, let's try and cover everything that has happened in this weekend's games. To start things off, let's cover Birmingham turning over West Brom by 2-0. A result that came out of nowhere. You can see with the table that Birmingham, you can see, was struggling with their form. They picked up that win, that frantic 4-3 away victory against Swansea, thinking it might have been fluke, but it turns out in this game they backed up their point, and with that being 2 wins in a row, Birmingham's position looks a lot more healthier. Probably a little bit of an outside chance of getting into the top 6. They'll need to be almost flawless with their form to get there now, but they'll definitely take survival based on the off-the-field problems that they're currently having. To beat an informed West Brom team takes some really good doing. Mabry, you can see, goal and an assist, proving to be a great impact again. Once again, seeing the brilliant build-up between Chong and Mabry really does help tick this team. It's good to see Bielik get on the score sheet as well. And this has probably been the most consistent season Bielik has had in terms of injuries. So I've got to say, I think definitely, man for man, Birmingham's signings have definitely been a really positive impact. They've definitely contributed to Birmingham's success this season. Let's look at stats and analyze this. So you could see, even just statistically, Birmingham were much better. 12 shots to 5, only 1 shot on target for West Brom. So West Brom being uncharacteristically poor in terms of a league performance goes, that might go down as their worst league performance of the season since Carlos Corberán's come in. And it's come quite costly. You can see there, it's 2 defeats and 3, and they're falling a little bit behind in terms of the top 6 battle. They have got 1 game in hand, but they've got to really be ultra competitive now. The fact that West Brom have got a fighting chance to get into the top 6, to reiterate, is astounding based on what they were. But they really got to make sure that they adjust those expectations to what they should really be capable of, which I think is playoffs. So I definitely think West Brom got to be careful with that front. But there, with Birmingham, however, they've done really well. Great win for them, and I can see them maybe kicking on from this, especially if they keep up those performances. From one great game to one pretty dull game, Blackpool and Rotherham, a bottom of the table battle. It ended as a 0-0 draw. Still no win for Mick McCarthy as Blackpool manager. It's another draw for Rotherham. It's their 3rd in a row in the league. You can see stats was quite close. 10 shots seized, 3 shots to 2, 6 shots off target there, 4 corners to 0 there. So Blackpool definitely using more corners as set piece opportunities there. Rotherham I think just doing what they can to create chances out of nothing. And look at that, they hit the woodwork twice actually. So Rotherham may be a little bit unlucky potentially to get anything out of this one, but Rotherham would take this result at the moment. It's 3 draws in a row. They're not safe yet, but they have got a game in hand. But look at this here, Blackpool following this draw are the bottom of the championship. So whilst Mick McCarthy I think is improving things, he really got to get wins, you know, ASAP with his Blackpool team. If they're not careful, they are going to start getting cut adrift here. But look how close that bottom four is. 28, 28, 29, 29, 30, 30, 30, and 31 games being played. I mean, this could be absolutely enthralling. And if they do get some consistency, and let's say the likes of Rotherham and even Stoke could fall behind a bit, we can potentially get a 6-7 team relegation battle this year, which obviously the relegation battle is one of the most exciting things that you can ever get in football. The stakes are so high. So I'm hoping for drama, but that didn't show in this game. Decent result for Rotherham, but Blackpool really need to start getting more of these wins now, because they're really going to start regretting it if they don't get them soon. Probably up there for result of the weekend, Bristol City 1, Norwich City 0. What a win this was for Bristol City, and they are really starting to fry with their unbeaten run. Now we've got to remember, this is a streaky Bristol City side. You know, this is what they typically do. They go on a good streak, ball streak, then good streak again, and they feel like that they're going to achieve what they want to achieve, which I think, you know, they'll be wanting an improvement with a placement and potentially pushing for playoffs. They still got a tiny bit way to go. I don't see them being a contender for top 6 just yet, but if they stay unbeaten for a good 4 or 5 games after this, then I think they've got every chance, bearing in mind by that point they would only have up to 11 games left. So right now, this is a really crucial part of this season. The most consistent teams from this period onwards are going to be the teams that will be getting better rewards out of it, because games are slowly but surely starting to run out for all championship sides. You can see with that 7 shots to 15, but very disappointingly, only 1 shot on target for Norwich. That is poor beyond belief. That is really poor. And Bristol City had 2 with over half less shots than them there. And he had 2 big chances as well and missed them as well. So Bristol City could have even had more than the 1 goal that they had there. So great performance by Bristol City. Looks like tactically they got it right. Norwich have got to be very careful they don't fall back to their old habits, because you can see here 3 defeats in 5, 2 defeats in a row. Likewise with West Brom, you know, expectations wise have definitely been reset based on positive performances since they have had new managers respectively. But right now they've got to really adjust those expectations and really go for top 6. I really think both these teams really should be up there, but they're underperforming for it so far. So both teams definitely got to reevaluate how they're doing so far. Burnley just look like a team they just won't be stopped by anyone, and Preston, a local rival, just was completely brushed aside here. Burnley 3, Preston North End 0. Goal scorers, Nathan Tella hat-trick. I mean, he scores 2 goals against Ipswich Town in the FA Cup, and then he backs that up with a hat-trick here. He will be up there for one of the players of the season for me. He's definitely been one of Burnley's star players. I'm not going to say the star player, because honestly it'll be an injustice to many of that team. I mean, we can look at all the stats. We're just saying the same things over and over again. What Company has done is incredible. You can see here they're on 68 points with 16 games left to play. If they win that game in hand to get to 31, they'll be on 71. And by that point onwards, the maximum points that they could actually get still is 116 points. That is insane by any team ever. And right now, I'm doing the maths right now in my head, they only need 10 more wins, Burnley, and they will go up. And that is assuming that all the teams below them are going to win every single game, which, newsflash, is impossible. So right now, Burnley could be one of the quickest teams to get promoted at this stage, and potentially could go for a points record as well. I don't think they'll score the most goals. For Preston, on the other hand, this is some really concerning times. 3 defeats in 4 games. That 1 win sandwich there was a 2-1 win over Birmingham City, where they got 2-0 up, but they weren't too comfortable there. Really, right now, Rhino will be under immense pressure, to be honest. That home form is really, you know, a big part of why Preston are doing well this season. And midweek, they've got a home game against Luton Town. If they don't get anything there, I'm going to really struggle to see how Ryan Lowe is going to be back to any sort of confidence unless Preston give themselves a good performance. And unfortunately, they're just really falling short. So, disappointing for Preston, but Burnley, just good as per usual at this point. So, let's cover Cardiff and Middlesbrough. It ended as a 3-1 victory to Middlesbrough, which is what I predicted. And you can see there that it was a pretty eventful first half, to say the least. Force getting the first goal, but Sorry-Cava managing to get the equaliser there. Callum Robinson getting the assist there. But that Cameron Archer goal just before half-time, I think definitely made a big impact. And after Cardiff having a little bit of hope from that, this was like the last thing that they needed. And you could see in the second half, you could kind of see Cardiff huffing and puffing a little bit. You could definitely see that from the attack momentum there. But Ryan McGree scores in the 90th minute to take the game away from Cardiff City. And you can get from stats that Cardiff actually did so much more. You know, because Middlesbrough came to a point where they were 2-1 up at half-time. And what Middlesbrough actually did really well with is managing the game. Something that Ipswich could learn a thing or two how to do as well. And so many teams need to learn how to do this. But that is definitely one thing I've seen with Carrick. Middlesbrough have definitely been a more intimidating team, especially when they take an early lead. But also the mentality has improved. They're getting comebacks and they can hold on to leads. So as a whole, Middlesbrough have really gelled well and have improved. Third place, they find themselves in the table now, 51 points. A big gap to chase, and one I don't think they'll get unless Sheffield United and Burnley forget how to play football in the next 4 or 5 games. But Middlesbrough going to have to settle for being better than the rest, but that consistency still has to be maintained. Middlesbrough cannot put their foot off the gas just yet. Cardiff, on the other hand, really need to go up a couple of gears, because right now, as I was alluding to, they are definitely involved in that conversation of relegation now. With 4 defeats in a row, the worst form in the Championship in the last 4 games, Cardiff really need to turn things around with Lamucci fast. Coventry and Luton Town played a close affair. It ended as a 1-1 draw. So, Tom Lockyer with a goal before a minute. It was a real blink and you'll miss it moment there. Tom Lockyer getting a very early goal. Those 2 goals for actually the both teams happened in opposite ends of that half. The last minute of the first half versus the first minute of the first half. So Godden managed to get an equaliser from the penalty spot. And what we saw in that second half was just a very scrappy affair. You can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yellow cards and then / red cards, because Josh Wilson, Esbrand got given 2 yellow cards and got sent off as a result. So you would argue, because in that moment of the game, 85th minute, Luton, wouldn't have had enough time to use their man advantage, but Coventry would have still needed to try and shut them down and stay professional. 12 shots to 8 there, 3 shots to 6. So Luton looking very clinical with their chances, but Coventry did create a little bit more. Luton, with this draw, they could have had a big chance to really go up to 3rd. For the fact that Middlesbrough won, as I was just saying, it means that Luton dropped down to 4th. But they do have a game over hand over Middlesbrough, as you can see, and they can go up to 3rd. So Luton Town are really defining us, and for the fact they've only lost 7 games this season, it just really goes to show the consistency that Luton have had. And, they've done really well, to be fair. It reminds me of Brighton in the Premier League, where they've had their manager brutally taken away, but they've coped so well because the foundations are already there. So really inspiring stuff for Luton Town there. With Coventry, it's just looking more and more likely it's going to be a mid-table season. And it really feels like a season of what it could have been, because there were great moments, but there's also just been moments where clearly Coventry, where they are right now for being safe, is them being a team in the middle of the pack for the Championship. QPR Millwall ended as a 2-1 victory to Millwall. It was a bit of a London derby, this game, actually, so a little bit of rivalry going into this. And what a debut, or league debut I should say at least, it was for Duncan Watmore. I mean, the goal that he scored was absolutely just pinpoint perfect in terms of getting the goal in the top corner. Zian Fleming doing very well in the build-up of that as well. And as a whole, I think Millwall have been a team under the radar a little bit, and one that I would admit that I've not really backed so many times. But Oliver Burke managed to get a 2-0 lead. Chris Martin manages to get his first goal since joining QPR in the January transfer window, with Ilias Chair getting an assist, but it was not enough. QPR looked like they did huff and puff for most of that game, but you can see there it was Millwall who had more shots on target, and looked better at creating some clear-cut chances. So with QPR right now, we've already talked about how long their winless run is stretching into. It's 15 games now, and look at that. Honestly, if they don't pick their form up, they could see themselves in danger. You know, I would consider 45 points potentially being a safe target this year, which bearing that in mind, you know, 45 points has only been amassed by Sunderland, you know, upwards, to be honest. So right now, this table as a whole has been really close, which is why I've really liked the season actually. But right now, they've really got to make sure they still have the ability to win, because the confidence is just getting lower and lower by each game. Millwall, on the other hand, look at where they are. They are 5th place, 2 games in hand, win both of them, and they're 3rd. Millwall would be 3rd if they win those 2 games in hand. That is insane. I did not expect to see that from Millwall. But what they got to do, like what they failed to do in previous season, is maintain that consistency right to the end. They go on a little bit of a patch where they get a bit unlucky in some games, they have some injuries that they can't control, and right now what they really got to do is, you know, not get too much of a nosebleed to seeing where they are. They really got to make sure they maintain that professionalism and continue grinding out these brilliant results, because this is a brilliant result for Millwall. Likewise with Burnley, Sheffield United feel a team that's just too good for this league. They won 3-0 against Swansea, and 2 early goals you can see, or first half goals by Berg and Jack Robinson, really set the tone, and Oliver McBurney ended things for Swansea, scoring the 3rd goal for Sheffield United. But you can see from the possession and even just from the shots, this game definitely had the most action. We had a combined 30 shots between these 2 teams, so this is definitely the game you would have wanted to see if you had like a match of the day equivalent for the championship. The highlight reel would have been really interesting to see all of this. Big chances missed for Sheffield United there. Twice they hit the woodwork and did not score from it. So Sheffield United could have won by more than the 3 goals, which tells you a lot about Swansea. I think are still having issues of defending, really. I feel like right now, when they don't have the ball, they really got to be a lot more organised to shut teams down. You know, whilst you can play on the ball, it's also doubly even more important making sure you know that you have the energy to shut teams down, and I think Swansea are lacking that at the moment. But you can see in their 15th, not a terrible place to be, but inconsistent form to say the least. 3 defeats and 5 definitely can be things that Swansea can work on. To our second and last 0-0 draw of the game, of this weekend at least, it was Stoke and Hull. I mean, I said there wasn't going to be many goals, but I predicted Hull to get 1, and they just didn't. It ended 0-0. Could we salvage anything with the stats? I mean, Hull had more shots, 9 shots to 5, 3 shots on target to 2, so it wasn't too bad. It wasn't like it was only 2 shots on target to 1, let's say. So they did actually create some stuff, but look at that, both sides missed 1 big chance. So both teams had their chances, but what it looks like to me, that they just had an off day and they just didn't have the consistency to put the ball in the back of the net. It definitely hurts Stoke more, because right now they still need to try and get enough wins under their belt just to ensure that they've got enough of a gap to make sure they don't get dragged into the bottom 3. Now, in terms of Hull, they are right bang slap in mid-table with 32 games, so no side has actually played more championship football than Hull City so far this season. But you can see, look how much they've improved with their form. They've only had 1 defeat since the World Cup finish, which was a really close actual game against Sheffield United, where they lost only by 1-0. So Hull have definitely improved. The fact that in the top half of the table is a brilliant comeback with Liam Rosenior. And could you imagine what he does with a full season? I can only imagine. And honestly, they're definitely performing and improving right now. Just the only thing that might need a bit of work is putting the ball in the back of the net, as you can see from here. But overall, I think both these teams are progressing in their own unique way. But I think both are going to have different fortunes, just based on the approach that they've made, you know, in the last couple of games or so. Sunderland go back to winning ways, beating Reading by 1-0, and it was a late goal by Patrick Roberts. I predicted a draw, a 1-1 draw to be exact, but it probably would have been a 0-0 draw if it was going to be a draw. Reading again not being able to find the goal, and look at this, they're getting their winless form just stretching game by game at the moment. But Sunderland, look at this, they've now stretched their unbeaten run to 3 games on 45 points, and despite all the trials and tribulations, it feels like Sunderland always find a way to produce the results. 30 shots to 9, 5 shots to 1 there, 7 shots on target to 6, 8 corners to 4 for Reading's favour actually. So it felt that Reading looked a little bit more like they were attacking more aerially or more routine and just more set piece orientated, and Sunderland just had a better balance of being able to balance this route one football but also managing to play on the ball and holding onto the ball and keeping possession. And you can see Sunderland also missed one big chance as well. So overall, I'd say Sunderland, it looks like that they just about earned it, even though it looked like a really tight scoreline. Sees them in a great position. With Reading, they're slowly but surely getting slipped into the conversation of the bottom 3. I don't think Reading will go down. I think they've actually already done enough. But I'm telling you, they've got to make sure that they need to win at least one more game just to ensure that they can get over that 40-point mark, which would definitely give them within touching distance of safety. So Blackburn and draws are like buses. They don't appear for months on end, and all of a sudden 2 come at once. 2 consecutive draws for Blackburn Rovers as they drew away from home to Watford, and I gotta say, a good result for Blackburn's part. Bradley Dack actually took the lead for Blackburn there, and they had to really wait until Watford managed to get something out of this, and it only took the 74th minute to actually get anything from that. But you can see here, Watford really tried. They probed for trying to get something, but they only had 16 shots, 2 for 7 there, 6 shots on target to 4, 6 blocked shots. So by the looks of things, Blackburn defended very, very well. They definitely created some fair amount as well, but you can see there, definitely a bigger ratio of shots on target with total shots there. But on the other hand, you know, they're averaging nearly 1 shot on target per 3 shots, Watford. So right now, they really got to work on being more clinical, because it will cost them if they're not careful. In terms of the league position, you can see Watford only 1 win in their last 5 games, and you know, it's 4 games winless now for Watford there. So if they're not careful, they will get out of the top 6. In terms of Blackburn, they kind of stay within that conversation, but likewise with Watford, winless in their last 4. So both these teams really going to make sure that they pick up their form as soon as possible if they do want to get into the top 6. Obviously Watford have got those expectations, Blackburn do not. So will the expectations potentially do different things for these sides? Maybe. It's really down to the mentality, but both these teams really do need to improve on their form going forward. A result that came out of nowhere, Wigan managed to win a game. It's their first win, I believe, in over 3 months. It was a long time since they've not won a game. But Jack Watmore in the 81st minute, another late goal resulting in a 1-0 win. So similar to Sunderland and Reading, where they had a late goal, which it probably would have been a 0-0 draw had they not got that late goal in. But this is crucial. This at the time was 24th versus 22nd, and you can see here Huddersfield have dropped a place, and that win for Wigan has now given them a fighting chance. They're actually on the same amount of points as Cardiff. They've just got a worse goal difference, but they do also have a game in hand. So Wigan have definitely given themselves a bit of a fighting chance, and we can see now that Wigan will fight all the way if they have to with their new manager Sean Maloney. With Huddersfield, they're currently managerless, and we're still awaiting who they're going to get permanently. It is looking quite bleak for Huddersfield right now. You know, what they really do need is just something that's going to elevate them, and right now it just feels very doom and gloom, and I think it is really putting an effect on these players. So guys, these are my reactions to all the championship games. This is your table: Burnley, Sheffield United, and then we're going to have the same procedures of the bottom 3 as well, albeit the bottom 3 has switched places, with Blackpool last, Huddersfield 23rd, and Wigan moving up a couple of places into 22nd. Cardiff, Rotherham and Stoke in danger for me, and teams at the top 6 you got Middlesbrough, Luton, Millwall and Watford, but can't count out from Sunderland and maybe down to Hull. So I think these teams have a chance, but I think the other ones are going to have to settle for a mid-table place. So guys, I'm back to my normal setup, because on the left hand side of the screen are going to be my predictions for the Championship. So I'll quickly go through them because it's 1 in the morning and I want to go to bed. Birmingham versus Cardiff. I think Birmingham should win this quite comfortably based on form. 2-0 Birmingham. Coventry, Millwall. I think Millwall are just grinding results for fun right now. And I think Coventry have been inconsistent as of late. I'm going to go 2-1 Millwall. Norwich, Hull. Oh, Norwich at home should be okay. But Hull have been really good, you know. I'm going to go 1-1. I can't decide. QPR, Sunderland. I think again, QPR being quite inconsistent. Sunderland can produce those sorts of results and get a good result here, but they've not necessarily been consistent at keeping winning streaks. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw between QPR and Sunderland here. Burnley, Watford, for me, I think even with Watford on paper, they should be a really tough team for Burnley. I just think Burnley are in a different level right now. I'm going 2-0 Burnley. Reading, Rotherham. Ooh, I was thinking 0-0, but following that, Rotherham have had 2 0-0 draws in a row. I have a feeling that they should be able to get in the score sheet this time. But I'm going to go for another draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw this time, which may help both teams, you know, get a bit of a gap for the bottom 3, but ultimately both would want to win desperately. Bristol City, Wigan. I'm going to go 2-1 Bristol City. They're really improving their form. Despite Wigan picking up a good result, I think Bristol City will have enough. Preston, Luton. Preston have got one of the worst home forms in the league. Luton Town have been doing really, really well right now. 2-0 Luton Town. Sheffield United and Middlesbrough is really tough. This is really tough. I don't know what to do here. I was thinking 0-0, but actually what I'm going to do, I'm thinking in that same mindset that I think Sheffield United and Burnley have just got a new class above all the teams in terms of consistency. I'm going to go 1-0 Sheffield United, but I think it's going to be really, really tight actually. Stoke, Huddersfield. This is tough. I'm going to go 2-1 Stoke. I think they can pick up the odd good result at home. And I think Huddersfield are struggling with confidence right now. I think they definitely just need someone in just to get this sort of stability. And if they don't get someone in at that time, I think they could struggle. Swansea, Blackpool. 1-1 I think. I think Swansea may score first, but Blackpool have been prone to actually peg teams back and to potentially try and go for the winner. But I just don't think McCarthy's going to have enough within them there. So I think only a point. West Brom, Blackburn, I'm going to end it with a 2-1 victory to West Brom. A very simple one there. So guys, those are my predictions. Make sure you leave your predictions in the comments down below so you guys can be on the Lexalexus Football Prediction League. Also, the Premier League one will be updated as soon as possible as well. So guys, that wraps it up for today. If you guys enjoyed the video, please give the video a like. It does dramatically help the channel. Please do hit that subscribe button because it really does help the growth of this channel. And please share the channel too. All these things really, really do help. Small acts of kindness really do help. And they do take my channel a long, long way. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary. It's on the end of this video. And as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.